Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tech Coach Live. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and with me, as always, is Sue, my co-host on the Ask the Tech Coach Network. As I said, today we're going to be talking all about interacting with staff. With me are our two panelists today, Jim and Jamie. Jim, how are you today?
Fine, thanks. When I see you at work, it reminds me of data changing circuits on the Enterprise at light speed.
We are having a good time here. I want to say, first of all, look, I'm going to take a pause here, but I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching this from my school district. I'm getting a lot of Facebook messages from my teachers, from my tech coaches. That means a lot. It really does when you're creating something and you know that the community that you're building is helping out your own community. That's really cool. So shout out to everybody at MPS out there who's watching this. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys supporting my craziness as we go through here. Jim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm in Fort Worth, Texas. I just started with NCCE this summer, just in time for the quarantine. And I spent 16 years in public education, 10 years in the elementary classroom, and 6 years in educational technology, and just recently retired. So I'm excited about all the new opportunities at NCCE.
Nice. Jamie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was trying to be all fancy and use my bone conduction headset, and the microphone is not picking up. So I apologize. I am Jamie Wright. I am a fourth-year technology integration coach with Clarksville-Montgomery County School System. This is my 20th year in public education. I started as a baby 4 seconds after I graduated from college, and I've taught both middle and high school social studies in ELA and special ed. I'm very excited to be here today, and becoming a tech coach has just been a game changer for me, and I'm excited to share all the things I've learned with others.
Sue, it's all about the relationships. This is the running theme of our tech coaches. This is the running theme of our roundtables. There's so many different things here. Traditionally, as we spoke in our previous sessions, you would be introduced. You might go up and shake a hand. You might start having a good conversation that then leads you into, hey, when can I stop by? I'd love to see you.
Yes.
Now the conversation's going to be, hey, Jim, when can I enter your Google Meet?
And no shaking of hands.
And no shaking of hands. Let's just open this up here. We do have a live audience. We'd love to talk about this. We'd love to have you guys share. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and everything if you guys are on there. But Jim, let me start with you. Those first moments, those first relationships are so important. What advice do you have for somebody who might not have a classroom to visit a teacher in?
I know that's very challenging because it's so different. I mean, this is, our big thing in our district was visiting with administrators during the weeks that they were there before teachers came on campus and spending time building relationships there. So, but the administrators are the gatekeepers. And they can't keep you from connecting online, but they can certainly discourage or encourage your work. I've had occasions, not personally, but colleagues who actually were asked not to come to campuses just because the administrator didn't want them around. But I've never had that issue personally. I think it's one thing, again, I think somebody mentioned in an earlier session, it's not coming in with all the answers, but maybe coming in with some more questions and really letting people know that you're there to help. You're not there to evaluate. You're there to help them move forward and particularly to help the students succeed, help them improve and help them grow. And I think whether you're online or in person, it's important to start building that trust kind of relationship, because trust is what it's built on.
Absolutely. We were talking about that in one of the previous sessions of, building that relationship, whether you're virtual or face-to-face. And, I know we're all of us are probably going through a lot of that now as we begin to start a new school year, whatever that's going to look like. So, let's talk a little bit about, the traditional first week of school versus the, first week of school in, the COVID time that we're in now. Jamie, talk a little bit about, what those first weeks of school look like in both of these scenarios for you.
This has definitely been a challenging year, I think, to enter with your first few weeks, especially if you are an experienced tech coach who's going back to your same buildings, because you've already built that certain level of expectation with the buildings. Like, my principals and my teachers are emailing me, and we need you to come fix this. We need you to come fix that. We need you to come fix this. And it's very hard because for safety reasons, our district is taking every precaution possible. So I'm not able to move from building to building in the way I've always done in the past. And so that's been a huge challenge to think about as a coach. So, for example, I reached out to the new teacher coordinators at my schools. In one case, they reached out to me. And I was able to set up Zoom meetings so they could know what my face looked like, what my personality was like before we started. And then as my teachers are emailing me, I can't fix this, I can't fix that, and I'm nervous, what do I do? We're just setting up those Zoom meetings and Google Meets and Team Meets whenever we can so that we can kind of move through the process together in the same way we used to face-to-face. It's just thinking about face-to-face in a different way.
Absolutely.
So it's been a challenge, but I want to encourage everybody that it is doable.
It truly is a challenge. Now let's back up a little bit. And, we talked a couple sessions ago about what does a tech coach do. Let's kind of bring that topic here in this first week of school topic. As a tech coach, whether we're starting traditionally, like it was a year ago, or whether we're starting virtually now, as a tech coach, what are you all doing during that first week of school? I know I have a lot of responsibilities and I can share those as we go, but Jim, why don't we start with you? What are you doing as a tech coach during that first week of school?
Well, if we were in person, and in the district, my previous district, it'll be delayed until the first week of October. They'll be in person, but even technical issues, something's not plugged in, something's not turning on right, something's not, Could you stand in here while I take a child down the hall? Just whereas I had between 9 and 12 campuses, and so I couldn't just focus on a handful of teachers at that point. So I was trying to get to every single classroom, the teachers I was going to be assisting to try to do whatever I could. Now, what I'm trying to do now, I'm part of a Facebook group, and I'm trying to send links, ideas, other things. Of course, now retired's a little different. So if I already had campuses assigned, I could be going in the district network and I could be sending things, organizational things. Now, one tool that I like to use was synchronous recording, asynchronous recording, so I could have short tutorial videos on simple tasks.
Yes.
Something that they could just, within 2 minutes, if they had something they needed, I would have a list of videos they could just click and watch, wherever I am, wouldn't matter. But just some things that would be practical help to them as they start out. That first week, I don't want to interrupt, regardless of the environment. I wanted something they can click and go.
Exactly. And that's something, I learned back in the spring, just, coaching the teachers virtually when we went to non-traditional instruction in a matter of 2 days of, it's not always a matter of typing a big, long explanation, reply to their email. Video came into huge play for me. And now that we're coming back in a face-to-face /hybrid / virtual model, I'm going to keep up with that. And I'm encouraging the teachers to do the same, as using that video in face-to-face instruction as they would in digital. Jamie, why don't you elaborate a little bit? What does your typical first week of school look like as a tech coach?
The same thing. My typical first week of school is a lot of problem solving as teachers are opening their rooms back up. Usually our first week is PD in our district. So teachers are learning, training, getting their classrooms ready. And that's when I get those beginning of the year calls. Oh, wait, I forgot how to set up my OneNote. Oh, wait, I forgot how to set up my wireless projection in my classroom. What do I do? And I'm able to go around. So I'm very similar to Jim. I have been compiling a lot of those how-to videos so I can have them ready as soon as they ask and send them out to them. And I'll tell you what, it's very valuable to watch social media of your teachers.
Yeah.
Because they're going to air frustrations and things they need on their social media that they're not going to say out loud at school necessarily sometimes. And it's something simple as I saw a lot of my teachers saying in social media, all these virtual classrooms everybody's building with Bitmojis are so cool. I wish I knew how to do that. So I created a tutorial video and sent it out. it's just paying attention to what those needs are in a new way. So I'm not there to see face to face. So I'm having to anticipate in other ways.
Yeah, we talk a lot on the podcast of, that differentiation. We ask teachers as a tech coach, our instructional coach colleagues and administrator colleagues, we ask teachers to differentiate instruction with their children, with the students inside their classroom. As tech coaches, that's so important for us, is getting to know the teachers with which we work and what their learning style is and as an adult, and approach it that way. And that first week of school is huge in doing that, of getting them what they need. There's a comment by one of our viewers, it's just in time is a must right now. Thank you, Shannon. And then later, building into those complex concepts. What do you all think on that one?
I wholeheartedly agree. And I really think that you can still, even in this time, you can still build relationships with teachers by having conversations virtually, by reaching out to them by email, building that confidence that they have in you as a coach who's going to be there for them. The first week is critical. And I know, Jim, you were getting ready to say something too. I'm sorry if I cut you off.
No, I was going to say, I was just this last week, I was in a Google sponsored training for certified trainers. And one of our activities was building task cards. And as in our instructions was, be sure to consider the grade level and the technology level of the teacher in creating your task. Because I looked at the different members of our cohort, some were creating basically at a high school level, or some are creating at a pretty advanced technology level for teachers. And I was thinking of my poor kindergarten teacher who could hardly, do anything at that point. She was at the upper end of her teaching career scale, but she was at the low end of the technology scale, but she was still willing to try. And so trying to give tasks as simple as possible, but still effective for the learning objectives. So you can differentiate for everybody.
Yes, we've been going through our first week of school stuff this week at in my school system, and I've met with all 4 of my elementary staffs, and yes, we've thrown a couple of new things at them, but it put them so much at ease when I prefaced it by saying, we have implemented this program. We happen to have implemented ClassLink, which is a launch pad where all of the students' bookmarks are all in one spot.
Right.
And I prefaced it all by saying, we learned this from our remote learning back in the spring. We have implemented this for not only your benefit, but for the benefit of students and families, as we go to virtual instruction at various times throughout the year. And by the end, they were loving it. And, I had a meeting out of my hand, thankfully.
Yeah, this teacher I was thinking about was getting in trouble because all of her principal's email were going to clutter. So this is.
Oh,
we had some work to do.
So, what are some tips that you can give our viewers and listeners about, being a successful tech coach? Whether you're a new tech coach starting out, a new tech coach starting at a new school, or you've been there for 25 years. Being successful for the new school year. Jamie, let's start with you.
First of all, be authentic, be you. Let them see who you are, because it's the best way to build relationships. Be honest with your teachers. If you don't know something, never, ever, ever pretend you know it and give them the wrong information.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Ever. It's okay to say, I don't know it. And it's okay to say, but you know what? I bet I know someone who does. So if you'll give me tonight to check into it, to research it, I'll have an email for you tomorrow, and I'll let you know if I found anything out. So, this may not work for everybody, but I fully prescribe to the school of, I am a cheerleader all day long, the first couple weeks of school. Every email is exclamation points and you've got this and smiley faces. I want them to feel empowered that first week. And even if they're confused by new tech we're giving them, we, for example, in our district have an entirely new learning platform that we're using this year. I want them to feel like they've got this. They can do this. And if they have a question, all they have to do is reach out. So I think that's really critical that first week is just to be that cheerleader, I'm there for you personality that they know they've got a support system underneath them, so they feel confident really educating their students with the best tools out there.
I think that's really true. There are two phrases that I really like. One is the power of yet, and the other is the answer's in the room. And I think one of the hardest things for me to do was to help teachers get started in Twitter. And I think Twitter is just a crazy helpful PLN. I mean, I get all kinds of answers, suggestions, resources, and things through that social network. And I guess for some, they feel like it's just another thing they have to do, another thing to keep up with. But I find it to be very, very helpful.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, great stuff. And, I keep going back to, I believe Catherine in a previous session said, be a collaborator, not an evaluator, and in establishing that relationship right off the bat, even if it's just the little things of, showing them how to set up their classroom on, xyz.com to get going for instructional purposes, and showing them what they can do. Sometimes, touting everything that and touting everything that you can do is not always the best approach. It's showing them what's going to make their life easier, because we all know, as being former people in the classroom ourselves, that the first week of school is haywire, and especially now. So as we move into, COVID 2020 here, COVID-19 here in 2020, and we're beginning this school year so many different ways. My school system, one of our schools in across the river in Indiana, they've been back for 3 weeks face-to-face, and we have a virtual option. And then I have 3 Kentucky campuses. We're just across the Ohio River. And we're returning this week face-to-face and a virtual model. And, it's just keeping those teachers encouraged. So what in your district, Jamie, what are things looking like during this season of COVID?
Well, it's ever changing as numbers go up and down. Our plan as a district right now, we are actually planning, parents were given the option to choose face-to-face or a virtual school that our district has built and is using this year. So our students were able to choose either or for the first semester. And I thought that was just really amazing of our district to offer that for parent comfort level. I know as a parent of a second grader, it's nerve-wracking. What do you do? But our plan is those traditional students start back with us August 31st. So they've got a good plan in place based on how high the cases get. So we're just kind of waiting to see at this point, like everybody else. But I'm crossing every finger and toe I have for traditional later. I'm not gonna lie. So
yes, it's definitely a confusing time. Jim, what about you in your area? I know you're retired, but what are schools looking like in your neck of the woods?
Well, I know there are a lot of teachers are pretty anxious about this. There's a great video that someone shared recently on YouTube. It's from Deer like the animal, Deer Park ISD here in Texas. And it was part of their convocation, and it showed teachers approaching the new school year, and it's just hilarious. So if you get a chance to look that up, do. But in Fort Worth, currently, the plan is that school opening is delayed to the day after Labor Day, and it will be virtual for 4 weeks. In the first week of October, and parents still have a choice at that point. They can remain online or they can be in person. And so teachers are trying to determine, how do you plan for, a hybrid kind of environment? I talked with a teacher just this week who's having to do both. She's having to monitor her in-person students as well as plan for online students every day and certain times of the day. And, I guess this is a good time to evaluate, but all the planning for these various scenarios is just nerve-wracking.
Now, Jim, what's the name of that video that you shared?
I wish I could remember the name.
Drop it in the comments after a while if you get it.
I'll look for it. If you get Deer Park ISD Convocation.
Okay, Deer Park ISD Convocation, if you're looking for that. We'll
It's
try to
just-
drop it in the comments.
It's like a 2-minute video, but it's really funny.
You know, this is an unknowing time, and thank you, Aaron. Shout out to one of our viewers here. One of our comments is, you know, many educators, they're feeling shame about, you know, not knowing what's going on, but, you know, we're here to create that safe place, that safe environment for them to learn. You know, as our classroom teachers, that's their first priority, and they may not care about the technology right now, and that's okay. You know, and as tech coaches, we need to support that. You know, one of our principals in a staff meeting the other day said, you know, develop that relationship. Don't worry about the content right away. So even as tech coaches, we may be not necessarily put on the back burner, but our role and our approach may have to change in this whole process, you know, as we move forward in this different season that we're in. What else do you have to add there, Jamie?
I just think that the word of the day is going to be patience. I think that our district leadership, our teachers, our principals, everybody's just trying to make, our families are all just trying to make the decisions that are best for them in the moment and best for our kids in the moment. And I think in addition to patience, we've got to be super flexible. This is going to be the most interesting year I think we've ever faced as coaches, and trying to help teachers with instruction, especially in districts where we're split, where some of our teachers are teaching entirely virtually and some of them are teaching face-to-face. And we've got to balance the information that we provide for them for what's going to work best in each setting. And just like Jim was saying, also a lot of our teachers who have never had to be high flyers with technology before are finding themselves in a world where they've got to be high flyers whether they like it or not. And it's our job to get them there and make them comfortable.
Absolutely.
I think that's moving forward.
Yeah, and as tech coaches, you know, we've longed for moments like this. You know, I've been a tech coach for over 15 years and, you know, part of Twitter chats for that long. And we've longed for these days of, learning digitally. This is our dream. And here we are, and we have to harness that opportunity as best we can and, you know, redeem it to, you know, serve our teachers and our students the best we can. So we're about ready to wrap up this session. Jim, do you have any more to add? Tell us. We want to go around, Jim, and let us know where to find you and Jamie after that. And how can we find the great things you guys are doing?
Well, I just updated my screen name to include my Twitter handle, and also jproot@ncc.org is another way to find me. And I'd love to be helpful in any way I can.
Thank you, Jim. Jamie, what about you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Jamie Wright, TIC for Tech Integration Coach. If you want to reach out to me by email, it's jamie.wright@cmcss.net. It's Clarksville Montgomery County School System. If you're interested in accessibility, I run a website called techforalllearners.weebly.com. I'd love for you to check that out. And if you want to see tech coach from a kid's perspective, my daughter is vying to be a tech coach. So she has a YouTube channel called Tech Time for Ellie, where we share great videos from an elementary perspective.
Drop those links in the comments for us, Jamie, so we can be sure and check that the great things that you guys are doing.
You've been listening to the TeacherCast Educational Network, hosted by Jeff Bradbury. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter @TeacherCast or online at www.teachercast.net. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.